Bengals this offseason. Thus far, it seems as if those concerns are still valid, with the O-line allowing the second most sacks this season with 30 on top of just a 48% pass block win rate, which ranks third worst in the league. All right, I got friends with me now. Are they situated?
Yeah.
Okay, Saturday's in the
Let's
building.
go.
RG3, hi fellas. Thanks for being with us today.
I'm
I
there.
appreciate it. There we go. There we go.
You know he's mad. He's tweeting right now about it.
Yes, sir. What took us so long, man? It's a long walk, though. We had to fight the traffic in New York.
All right, Key, I'm going to start with you. Any concerns that the Bengals are going to miss the playoffs?
Absolutely. You're always concerned in this situation. They've been kind of up and down all year long. They can't protect their quarterback. Obviously, he's been sacked 29 times this year. And that's true. And back to you, RG, Mr. 3. It's not a prisoner of the moment, man. You got to look at the teams. You got to look at the Baltimore Ravens put it on them, okay? We watched that.
Yes.
They beat them. Okay, Dallas took care of business. Now we're looking at another team in Cleveland that beat them. Who did they win against that's a quality opponent that makes us go, oh, okay, they can turn things around? If they continue to slip, as I said before, and Jamar Chase doesn't come around, if T. Higgins doesn't all of a sudden emerge to that number one receiver that I think he can be, and they don't target him the same way they target Jamar Chase, they're going to be at home with me and you. Because you and I, we going to the Super Bowl regardless. We're going to be there regardless.
But that's a whole lot of ifs.
Do the Packers need to trade for one?
No, I don't think so. I think they need to stay right where they're at because who they're trading for, who's going to make a big difference. I know we're looking at names like Brandon Cooks. We're looking at DJ Moore. We're looking at possibly Jerry Jeudy. Is that a significant upgrade from what they already have? Why would I give up future assets to go get guys that's unproven? Well, Cooks is not unproven. Cooks is proven.
Okay, there you go.
But if you're talking about Jerry Jeudy, what is that? We hope, we keep saying, oh, Jerry Jeudy. This ain't Jerry Jeudy from Alabama. This is Jerry Jeudy from the Denver Broncos. So if I got to give up a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick to go get a guy in the middle of the season that needs to learn my offense to understand what the quarterback is going to do, I wouldn't do that. If you say to me Brandon Cooks brings some juice and I can get him for a 4 or a 5, then, yeah, maybe I'll go and do that. If I'm looking at DJ Moore, why am I giving up DJ Moore when I just drafted 2 guys in Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs? Now, when you watch the games, it's not like they're out there running the wrong routes. Some balls are being overthrown. Some balls are being underthrown. Some balls are being thrown to the left and the right. Okay? It's not like he's handing them off like he was doing a year ago or 2 years ago with Devontae Adams. It's a totally different situation that we see with Aaron Rodgers and his group of receivers. The receivers are not their only problem either. The defense isn't good. The defense isn't good at all.
Right. Yeah, Key, you know receiver play better than anyone at these on this show right now. And you understand.
That ain't got nothing to do with watching that highlight right there.
You know that a receiver, some guys are just plug-and-play guys. So when you bring up those 3 names, Jerry Jeudy, DJ Moore, and Brandon Cooks, there's only one guy that I truly believe the Packers should make a move for, and it's Brandon Cooks. The guy's been in the league 9 years. He's got 6 1,000-yard receiving seasons. He's done it with a plethora of quarterbacks over the span of 4 different teams. He is the guy that you go and get if you're the Green Bay Packers. Why? Because he instantly makes your team better. So you said who could do it? It's definitely Brandon Cooks. He makes your 2s and 3s now become 3s and 4s, and they're not asking as much out of them. He's been able to get chemistry with every quarterback he's ever played with, including Davis Mills and Tyrod Taylor in Houston. So that's the guy you go for because their defense, as you said, is not playing the way that they were paid to play. Right now, the Packers got rid of Devontae Adams in a trade, and they said we're going to play great defense because we were dominated by the San Francisco 49ers, who played great defense, ran the football, and didn't ask too much out of their quarterback. They felt that recipe was the best thing for them because they have Aaron Rodgers. And we've seen glimpses of Aaron Rodgers continue to go out there and make great throws all over the field. The problem for the Packers is the weakest part of their team is the one they're asking the most out of right now because they're getting behind in big games like they did against the Bills. They have to run the football and play great defense. Right now, their defense can't stop the run. They're 29th in the league.
The Brooklyn Nets got a much-needed win last night over the Pacers following stellar play by Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. However, Irving's tweet from Thursday containing a link to a movie which contained claimed anti-Semitic tropes, which he deleted on Sunday, continues to make news for the organization. A group of fans courtside at the game spoke out about the incident wearing Fight Anti-Semitism t-shirts, with one telling ESPN at halftime he didn't think the Nets have done enough in the wake of Irving's post. Kyrie was not made available to the media last night, but Steve Nash talked about the situation. Take a listen.
I just hope that we all grow through this together. You know, there's always an opportunity for us to grow and understand new perspectives. I think the organization is trying to take that stance where they're going to communicate through this and try to all come out in a better position and with more understanding and more empathy for every side of this debate and situation.
They're not going to do anything. They haven't done anything for years. They let him do whatever he wants. It's been the case forever. Joe Tsai has had to make repeated statements for things that Kyrie has said and done. Steve Nash has had to come out there repeatedly for things he's said and done. It's always going to be something with Kyrie Irving. I mean, he is a tremendous player. He's an injury-prone player. So you know when you have him, you have to hope that he stays healthy. So if he stays healthy, you're almost ahead of the game. Because you know he's going to miss a certain amount of time. And, you know, it's also become obvious that Kyrie Irving is also going to do things that are going to distract from your team. It is going to happen. It is going to happen in another month or another 2 months. It's going to happen next year. It's going to happen after the year of that, no matter what team he is on. And the Nets have set the standard that they're not going to hold him accountable. And now they're not even going to make him talk to the media. Instead, they're going to trot out Steve Nash to do it. And I know people are saying, well, why haven't they punished him? They've never punished him for anything. How can they start now? You know, they tried to get a modicum of it back by the way they handled his contract negotiation last summer by basically not giving in and offering him the contract he wanted and trapping him into playing in a prove-it season. And he is playing great offensively. He's having one of the great starts that he's ever had in his career. But the Nets still aren't thriving because the Nets haven't been thriving with Kyrie Irving since they got him, since they got into this agreement that they can't seem to get out of. So they're not going to do anything. They've never done anything. And when something else happens later this year, whatever it is, they're not going to do anything then either.
Bomani?
I would waive him and start working on the future right now. And it's largely for the reasons that Brian talks about. Now, he's right. The Nets haven't done anything to hold him accountable. But the thing that jumps out to me is it's going to be something else. The question is whether the something else is going to be something that's even more embarrassing than the current situation that they're in right now. So I see him and I see a dude that plays very well but doesn't necessarily affect winning. I'm looking at a team that is probably not going to go very far, whose other superstar doesn't want to be there in the first place. So I look at that roster and I look at Kyrie and I look at his behavior and I look at the positions that he's put the team in, and I have a hard time seeing what they gain from this. Now, the counter argument to waiving him is, we'll see what you can get for him on the market. And Brian can speak to this more than I can, but I have a hard time believing that right now, after this has happened, that there will be a line full of teams like, hey, give us Kyrie. By the time the block calms down and maybe you could pull something like that off, chances are he's going to do something else. And we haven't even reached the annual portion of the season where he just decides he doesn't want to come to work for a little while. So I don't understand what the Nets are getting out of having him right now, other than you don't want to say you gave the dude away for free, but he might be costing you more than he's giving you.
Wendy, how do KD and his teammates feel about all these controversies and comments after everything they dealt this offseason? It felt like, okay, we're going to try to make it work with this new big three.
Another day at the office. It's been going on for years. I mean, Steve Nash is one of the great competitors I ever covered in the NBA. The guy extended his career by laying on the court when he was in timeouts to try to stretch out his back. Played late into his 30s, trying like crazy to extend his career. Played hard every single second. Was not as talented as Kyrie, just flat out not as talented. Got to where he did by just flat out working hard. I cannot imagine the way Steve Nash actually feels about coaching Kyrie Irving. Forget about what he does off the court, just the way he carries himself. And that Steve Nash, I mean, look, this is what he gets paid for. Every coach to a certain extent has to come out and answer and cover for their stars. But can you imagine Steve Nash going out there after that game last night? They finally get a win. It was not a good win. It took a wing and a prayer for them to beat a Pacers team that is frankly not that good. But okay, they got it. They needed it. They got some defensive stops down the stretch, which has been absolutely non-existent for them. And Steve Nash has to come in there and cover for him again. I mean, you know, we're never probably going to know how Kevin Durant actually feels, how those guys in the locker room actually feel. But let's just use human nature. We have watched this year after year after year, and there's no way you can expect something else not to happen that is going to cause a distraction off the court. And frankly, his game, while good, it hasn't carried the Nets. The bargain has been a bad bargain, and I don't see any reason why it will not continue to be. As for waiving him, Bomani, that would be an incredible move of fortitude and backbone, and the Nets have just, frankly, never shown any inclination to go anywhere towards that. So I would be blown away if anything like that happened.
Do you think they should be speaking out on this subject and hold some accountability as well in terms of leadership here, KD specifically?
Well, I think if you want to make it specific to Durant, maybe we're having a bit of a conversation. And I'm honestly not sure where I am about that, because I do think that these are treacherous waters for a lot of people, and they would prefer not to be roped into Kyrie's controversy just because he wants to act a fool. The thing about the rest of the team is Kyrie Irving exists as leader. Like, for those of us who are a little bit older, I think we have a tendency to look at guys as still being young like they were when they came in the league. But this is Kyrie Irving in what I believe is his 11th season. Those dudes that are down the roster look at Kyrie Irving as something different. Like, that's somebody for them to look up to. So, no, they're not going to come out and say anything about what is really the leader of their team. And that's another reason why I look at it for the Nets. Like, can you have a dude that is really existing as the leader of your team, but you can't trust him to talk in front of people in public?
Do you think they should be speaking out on this subject and hold some accountability as well in terms of leadership here, KD specifically?
Well, I think if you want to make it specific to Durant, maybe we're having a bit of a conversation. And I'm honestly not sure where I am about that, because I do think that these are treacherous waters for a lot of people, and they would prefer not to be roped into Kyrie's controversy just because he wants to act a fool. The thing about the rest of the team is Kyrie Irving exists as leader. Like, for those of us who are a little bit older, I think we have a tendency to look at guys as still being young like they were when they came in the league. But this is Kyrie Irving in what I believe is his 11th season. Those dudes that are down the roster look at Kyrie Irving as something different. Like, that's somebody for them to look up to. So, no, they're not going to come out and say anything about what is really the leader of their team. And that's another reason why I look at it for the Nets. Like, can you have a dude that is really existing as the leader of your team, but you can't trust him to talk in front of people in public? Because the whole thing about not making him available there speaks to me why I would not have him on the team. He refuses to back down, and you can't put him back out there because he's going to go out there and not back down again. And so just as Brian is floored by the idea that the Nets would ever have the fortitude to cut him, which makes sense, I'm floored by the idea that they would look at this situation and think even for a moment that it continues to be tenable. They've stretched this disastrous experiment out as far as it can go. If I'm there, I'm trying to start getting ready for the future right now, because no matter what, he's not coming back next year. No matter what, Kevin Durant's going to want to be out of there next year. They just holding on to a whole bunch of people who don't want to be there, and one of them might burn the whole thing down before he leaves.
It just came in, the Indianapolis Colts dismissed their offensive coordinator, Marcus Brady, so they make a quarterback change last week, benching Matt Ryan, and today they dismissed their offensive coordinator, Marcus Brady, who at one point in time was considered a rising assistant coach in the league with a chance to continue to climb the coaching ladder, and yet today he's out.
If there was any weakness that I saw in the Cowboys defense, it was when they go play the Eagles, they're going to go play big boy football, right? Strap up the pads, be able to shut down that running game so they go and get a run stuffer in that. I love that pickup. But if I'm then, I'm definitely not mortgaging my future. You have good edge players on defense. You got good guys in the back who are making plays, linebackers who can fly and are playing good football. I'd leave well enough alone.
Yeah, Jeff, you're saying don't mess up a good thing, right? So if they were to make a move, it would have to be a big splash move
Absolutely.
that adds to the team, doesn't detract from it.
For sure.
I think there's only one guy that can do that for them, and that's Bradley Chubb. If they were to go out and get Bradley Chubb, I look at that as like a Von Miller type move that the Rams made last year, to go out and bring him in and have him be that finisher for them. The Cowboys already have a great pass rush.
Vicious.
Vicious, unbelievable pass rush. Their defense is playing lights out. So adding a guy like Bradley Chubb kind of even puts them even more over the edge. Aside from that move, which would be a big splash move, I don't think they need to make another one. To your point, it's just they got a good thing rolling right now. Just keep running the football through Zeke and Tony Pollard.
It's very close for me between Baltimore and Miami, who I was surprised to see below Cincinnati and the Chargers there.
Yeah, for real.
I lean Baltimore. not because of the quarterback. I want to be clear. I think the Miami offense is a buzzsaw. I love what they're doing on that side of the football. I think Baltimore's also figuring some things out on offense. But for me, the differentiating factor is the defense. Because as we've been so dialed in on Tua, is he playing? How well is he playing? He's playing very well. We've kind of ignored the fact that this Miami defense has regressed heavily this year. So one stat that really jumps out to me, this is a very blitz-happy defense. We know that. They blitz at one of the highest rates in the NFL. But the pressure rate is 29th. Jeff, you know that is not a good combination, and they're exposing their secondary on the back end. They've had struggles defending the pass. Whereas Baltimore had some struggles in the beginning of the year. It's a new defensive coordinator, some new pieces on defense, but they have started to gel over the last few weeks, and I feel like at this moment, especially with the addition of Roquan Smith, they're the more balanced team.
It's about to get real, about to get much better than it usually is. And remember, I'll give you my 5 top teams, but the list is fluid. The list is fluid. It's all about this week. It's not about last week, about this week, what we're doing now. I got some people here to take shots at me. I'm okay with it. I'm built. We got guys out in LA who want to take shots. I'm not scared of it. RG3's here, Mina's here. I'm not afraid. I'm going to start this out with a good one. Give it to me. Give it to me. Boom! Right to Miami Dolphins. Top 5. Why are they? Tua. Keep saying it again. Waddle.
Who's going to start at running back? Ezekiel Elliott has carried the workload thus far, out carrying Tony Pollard 109-81. After Pollard stepped in for Zeke in Week 8, he has the edge in yards per rush, 10-yard rushes, and in the passing game with 121 receiving yards compared to Zeke's 32. I will start with our Cowboy. Keyshawn, should the Cowboys start Pollard over Zeke?
No, not at all. Not even close. I understand when you're looking at the big game he had against the Chicago Bears, but he's on par with doing everything he's always done. He touched the ball 14 times. That's the norm for Tony Pollard. There's nothing different, okay? When you look at the rushing totals, the yardage, Ezekiel Elliott's played in 7 games. Tony's played in 8. The numbers are similar. He's got him by like 20-something yards. One has 5 touchdowns, one have 4. The important thing isn't just the statistics, right? It's just not that. Pass pro is extremely important. Being able to understand pass pro, picking up guys, scanning guys from outside in, inside out. And Jeff knows this as a guy on the offensive line. That's so important at the running back position. If he misses his block or if he gets run over by one of those defensive linemen and hit that quarterback, we won't even be having a conversation about the Dallas Cowboys in no damn Super Bowls no more. Absolutely not. Don't change a thing.
Keyshawn, you can't say Ezekiel Elliott's had more carries and then use counting stats to defend him, like his yards and touchdowns. That's a product of opportunity. If you look at what these running backs have actually done with their opportunities, it's not even close, frankly. I mean, Tony Pollard is second in the NFL behind Lamar Jackson in yards per carry right now. Ezekiel Elliott is 28th. You could do any stat, frankly. First down rate.
To the Tom Brady-led Patriots. Okay, Mina Kimes. Who's winning the NFC South?
Nobody, to be honest. I mean, in an existential sense, in a spiritual sense, I've still got the Bucs. I hate myself for it. I love the Falcons. I love what they're about on offense. I just don't think that defense is good enough to sustain this, particularly the pass defense. I don't really see them being buyers of the trade deadline. The Bucs' problem isn't talent, it's execution, and I would argue game management and play calling. Those things are fixable. Now, again, I hesitated greatly because, yeah, they have not looked great, but I'm going to go with the more talented team, and of course, Tom Brady.
Yeah, to me, the sky's falling on the Bucs is essentially what Mina is trying to get at. Everything's been bad. They have no running game. They're last in the league in yards per game rushing. They can't protect up front. That interior offensive line has really been stepping on Tom Brady's toes. But at the end of the day, they've played as bad as humanly possible or one game out of first place in their own division.
There you go.
That's why they're going to win it. They got Tom Brady. As she said, they've got the players. They've got Godwin, Mike Evans. You talk about Leonard Fournette. They have Tom Brady. They have a really good defense. Their defense just hasn't been as dominant as we remember, and they have to accept the challenge to kind of carry this team. But this is what you pay Byron Leftwich for. It's your job. You got 10 days. You have to figure out how to find or manufacture a running game and do things in the pocket to protect the greatest quarterback of all time. But I think Brady has a little bit more clarity now, not just in his life on the football field, but his life off of the football field. And I think that's going to help him moving forward. The stuff in his personal life is his personal life. But as a football player, I heard him come out and say, we have to accept what our record is, what it is, and we have to be a better football team. And I think they can figure that out, and they've got the GOAT. If he can't do it, then with Byron Leftwich, then I don't know who can.
I dare you guys ever go against Tom Brady. How could you ever? Of course you're not ever going against Tom Brady. I know it's a bad deal, but I'm taking the New Orleans Saints. I think if that's a healthy football team, first of all, they're sitting at 3-5. They're 1 game out of first place. It's not like they're 6 games out of first place. If they can get healthy, and I know it's an if, just like the Buccaneers. If the Buccaneers can figure out the running game, if the Buccaneers can make adjustments on the sideline, same sort of thing. They got talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. If Landry can get healthy, Michael Thomas can get healthy, they come back defensively. You know what they have. Then look what they just did to the Raiders. And the Raiders aren't home run hitters. I get it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.